Okay, we are live. So, Erich Kirshner, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's just a real treat to be able to join you, Doug.
Absolutely appreciate your time. Erich Kirshner. So, I've known you for many, many years. I was trying to think how many years have I known you? It's been many. Um, they've been great. They've been great years. So, my introduction of Erich would be, that I worked with you first, and we both had jobs, and we worked together in our jobs, and we enjoyed a really long time working in healthcare quality, doing our respective jobs and really enjoying those. So you also went before me into the entrepreneurial world. Were the first person I really knew who left your job and actually went off and started your own thing. And 10 years ago when I started, it was actually, I think it'll be 11 years ago, when I followed suit down that path, you were what I would call my leap partner. You're my leap coach. So when I was standing, when I actually just, decided I was going to go down this entrepreneurial path without a whole lot of plan. And you were my first call and the one who talked me off the ledge every time I said, maybe this was a mistake. I'm not sure what I'm doing. And you were continuously supportive of the entrepreneurial venture and my, risk-taking, ledge leaping activities. And I have to say that I find that funny and amusing that here we are, come full circle now, some 11 years later, both of us running this is a hard word to say, entrepreneurial ventures, and having really our own success, and then being able to be brought back together for this. So that's my segue into the introduction. And then I would love for you to speak your own name and share a little bit about your professional identity.
Yeah. Well, I'm Erich Kirshner, as you said, and it's been such an honor to be, both of us on this entrepreneurial adventure together, doing our own things, but also able to team up from time to time and help one another, support one another. When you said I didn't really have a plan, I think most entrepreneurs, if they had a plan, they probably would realize that it was a really bad idea and stop. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is you kind of jump off the cliff and then you madly start swimming and planning and swimming and planning. And, so it's a crazy life, but one that I know that you really excel at, and also just are made for. And I also, to me, it's just night and day. I love leading my own ship and having the ability to take my organization where I want it to go and explore those arenas that are interesting to me. And so it's a fun adventure, but not an easy one. So a little bit about me. So I'm a partner and co-owner of Evolution Communications Agency, and we're based in Littleton, Colorado, and we work in a variety of arenas. You and I have a lot of background in the healthcare arena, and we do a lot of work in healthcare. We've branched out into other professional arenas, financial services, some legal stuff, some like environmental recycling, those kind of things. So we're open to many different arenas, avenues. What we love is being able to contribute to the societal good. And we just love that when we're able to take our talents and help people be healthier, or help, like I mentioned, recycling, help, the environment be healthier. That's when we're really in our sweet spot. We love that.
So you would consider Evolution a communications firm? What would be what bucket would you put yourself in?
So those of us who work in this arena, we change our lingo up every few years. I think right now it's like integrated marketing or integrated marketing communications. I think that's sort of the word. And really all that means is there's a lot of different tactics and strategies within the communications world, and we integrate them. We take these different tactics and we figure out what's the best to bring to fore for whatever client we're working for or whatever project we're working on. So I mean, the typical things we tend to work on are social media, paid media, which is both what people think of as like your ads on television or on the radio or what have you, but also all the advertising that happens through the internet. So we do a lot of work in that area. Search engine optimization is a big arena that people need help with today, how to make sure their websites get found. But communications is such a big area, and we tend to help on almost facets of it. Even, you know, I'm going to a conference, I need help with my presentation, we'll do that. You know, or I'm thinking about whether I should get a billboard on the side of the road. We buy those, you know. We would back you off and say, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, Deb. Do you really need a billboard?
I would appreciate that, because I'm not sure a billboard is what I need, but I might. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Yes. All right, great. So if you're to think just a little bit more about you personally, in one word, how might a good friend describe you?
Oh, I saw that question and I came up with many words. I think it's hyphenated, easygoing. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so that might be one. But I'm also passionate. That's one word.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I bring a lot of passion to whatever it is I'm focusing on, and that can be work, but it can also be family.
I love those. Easygoing, passionate, true, and consistent with my experience. I'd also say noble and chivalrous.
Oh, it's very kind of you. Yeah.
In my experience of you, you're the guy who, again, says, I got your back. It's good. You know, we'll figure it out. And it's always been such a grounding force for me. And I really appreciate that about you. And I don't think I'm the only one you do that for. With, so.
Just you, Deb. No, you and my wife. Yeah.
And your daughters
and my daughters. Yeah, perhaps.
Yes, I would say that, you know, I have these categories of people that I work with: the princess friendly and the non-princess friendly. Yeah. Who are like the epitome of the princess friendly. You get the sensitivity of women, and you love us. You know, your response to that is one of just warmth and compassion and kindness, and creating space and being generous with it, as opposed to, you know, seriously, you need to, you know, be more like, you know, more grounded. So I absolutely love about you. You are definitely princess friendly.
Oh, well, thank you. I've got a lot of women in my life, as you know. So
you do a lot of really good women.
Yeah, a lot of amazing women, right? So, and I'm grateful for that. I do think that men or women, or anyone, we're all kind of swimming with one nostril above the surface of the ocean. And I always try to keep that in mind when I'm talking with anyone, no matter how bedraggled or successful they look. I always try to remember, you know, they're in this same marathon or triathlon with me, and I know that they go through all the same things that I go through. And if there's a way that I can help them, that's my honor. And I think we're all, you know, we're all trying to do the best we can. And it's fun. And you're especially good at seeing the uniqueness that folks bring to their challenges, and really allowing myself and other folks that I know that you know to, it's like, you are really good at this. You are very skilled at ferreting this out, or figuring this out, or helping people in this way. And it's such a great reminder to people. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I am, you know. Mm-hmm. So, and I think we can all do that. And life's short. What better to do?
Absolutely. And the more we can find ways to spend our time doing the things that we're uniquely here to contribute, that we really came into this world to be and do more of that, the happier we are. You know, for me, the more I wake up every day doing work that just means something to me. I can't even tell you what day it is anymore, Eric. I work, you know, who cares what day it is, right? Yeah. It's, yeah. You know, every day. And when you're doing the work that you love, it doesn't feel like work. The days fly by. It's just, yeah. It's so much fun. So thank you for that compliment. And I do think one of my gifts is I can see brilliance in other people. And I can feel when I'm in the space of their genius, when I can feel them doing what wakes them up in the morning happily and with a smile. And when I am in that space with them, it's such a amplifying force for us to be able to do that for each other. So I have a lot of passion around that, and thank you for.
Yeah. Well, you can sense the brilliance, but you also reflect back to them. And that's the thing that is, it's that sun reflecting back on you. It's like reminding you, it's, you know, spiritually, it's like, there's the God in you. Did you know that?
Absolutely. My one word life mission is shine.
Yeah.
Which is exactly that, you know, to shine light on other people and to shine by reflecting back their own light. It's a beautiful thing when we can do that for each other and be in the presence of people who do that for us. All right. So thinking about who you are in the world, if you had to pick a theme song, what would your theme song be?
I might make up a title.
Okay, perfect.
It might be something like "Keep on Keeping On." Something. I always feel that you know, when you talked about, you know, being your leap coach and stuff, I always feel that when it's can you keep on keeping on through those harder times? That's really when the going gets interesting, and you can really separate yourself. Can you push through the uncertainties? Can you push through the difficult news that you didn't get a contract or an award or a job or something that you thought you were going to get? Can you push through that and keep on keeping on? I think that, you know, it's easy to be happy in the good times or the easy times, right? And I separate those two. I've realized again and again in my work and personal life that the hard times actually are the good times. Isn't that weird? But it's so true, right? The hard times are actually the good times, because it's when we grow the most, but it's also in a weird way when it's the most fun. I mean, because we have some kind of challenge and we're just gnawing at the edges of it, and we're just trying like crazy. How do we figure this out? How do we make this work? And that's the most fun. Once you've figured it out, that's great too, but that's kind of the mountaintop, and then you have to find the next mountain, right? And it's that climbing the mountain. So keep on keeping on.
I love that. And, you know, Catherine Browning, who's one of the co-founders of the Matrix Guard, and you've met Catherine, has her whole life passion is around resiliency and around, you know, what happens to us when we face obstacles, then how we create, how we come out better. And it's been a part of what we've adopted in the Matrix Guard, this idea of this redemptive arc, what happens to you and how that creates superpowers within us, and how that enables us to be something that we couldn't have been had we not, you know, bounced again, something that really, really pushed our boundaries and created the opportunity or the need for us to just do something different, or in a completely different way than we've ever done before. So
Right. And just as that same point, if you think about whenever we talk about like legendary brands, you know, Microsoft, Apple, what have you, what do we always talk about? Their origin story. And why is that so fascinating to us? I think one of the reasons is that's when they were really struggling. That's when they were trying to figure out what end was up and how they were going to make this thing work, and what were they offering, and who might be interested in it, and so on. And those are such wonderful challenges to work on. You know, nobody really like talks about Microsoft today. It's like boring, right? I mean, they've made it, they've figured it out. Now they're just growing in new and different ways. But that origin story is always going to be the most fascinating. And that's because that's the time that they were really figuring out who they are and what they have. And that's why I feel the same way. That's so, as much as we always are trying to make everything easy, and why can't this just flow the way I want it to flow? And actually, when we get to that point, we're kind of like a little bit, okay, I'm bored.
Right. So those formative versions of ourselves, when we don't yet know who we are or what we're really doing and we're launching out, are really the most interesting to other people, most identifiable, most perhaps inspiring.
Right. And it's helpful to remember that, right, when you're going through this stuff, which usually you are.
Yeah.
we like to think that everybody is just like one victory after another, but in reality, it's there's a long time between those victories typically.
Okay, so I'm going to move to the multiple lenses that we look through the world. So you've already talked a little bit about some of the ways that you, as the co-founder of Evolution Communication, the integrated marketing and communication firm, some of the things, how you look at the world professionally. So in addition to your role as a professional, what other key perspectives orient you to the world?
Well, this will not surprise you, Deb, but as you well know, I'm the parent of a child with a disability, and also actually brother with a disability. So disability, from the time that I was able to really string thoughts together, has always been a big part of my world. My brother is a year older than me, so I have still very vivid memories of growing up. Oh, John's a little different. How is he different? How's that going to work out? What does that mean? And then, of course, as you get a little older, how can I support him? And now I have my daughter Isabel is my youngest of three daughters. She's now 19, and I have that same lens. It's how can I support Isabel? She has cerebral palsy, with both some physical and a lot of cognitive impacts from that. And how can I support her? And it's been quite a wonderful journey that my wife and I, and actually her sisters too, have been on to see what gifts that she brings to this world, which are just the brightest, shiniest, most amazing gifts. Mm-hmm. But that's a lens for me. It's a lens for me, and if people, sometimes people say this about their dogs: if my dog likes you, then I know you're good. And I hate to say it, but if you click with my daughter Bella, you've already moved up to the top rung with me.
And she is such a light. She's such a joy, and she just radiates such enthusiasm for life and such goodness. It's fun to be in any room with her. So
that's good of you to say, and I do agree. She's the thing that Bella reminds us. She reminds us of a lot. But one of the things is she sees the person first. Yeah. When we go through the grocery line, she says to the checker, your name, Catherine, that's really pretty. Why did your parents name you Catherine?
Mm-hmm. Right. She has this beautiful curiosity.
Yeah. And they'll start the most amazing conversations, or, do you have any kids? What are they doing now? What did you do with them this weekend? And she has the best conversations, and but it's that, like, here's this beautiful human being, this checker at Target, Walmart, wherever, and she's standing right in front of you, and you didn't even see her. Mm-hmm. And all Bella saw was her. Mm-hmm. And that is just so eye-opening every time it happens, and it happens so much. So
yeah, may we all be able to learn from that. I think that's really a skill in this world, to be present and be able to see the people who are around you wherever they are, because we're everywhere.
Right.
I mentioned that a big part of what the Matrix Guard is doing is this idea of the, unstoppable hero that everybody has within us, this heroic potential, and that the things that happen to us send us on this journey to be able to grow our superpowers in order to be able to manage, navigate, succeed. We're curious about other people's heroes. Could you tell us a little bit about who your hero was when you were little and what inspired you about them?
Yeah. Well, I was a big baseball fan when I was little, so I remember Al Kaline for the Detroit Tigers was an outfielder who played, who was quite good, and so I remember him as being a formative hero. And I wish I could tell you a lot about him, but he was really good at baseball. But I enjoyed watching. I think that, but when I think of superpowers, I remember as a kid, my dad didn't allow us to have television, and the TVs that existed back then weren't really worth having anyway.
No plasma, no.
No, black and white and a terrible picture because we lived out in the Michigan countryside. So
Yeah.
I'd listen on the radio, and I just remember thinking that that every time he would come up to bat, he would transform the game.
Mm.
And I just remember I remember as a little kid, like sitting in the backyard with my transistor radio thinking, where are they in the rotation? Is Sal Kaline going to get a chance to get up to bat and knock all these players home, And so I just remember thinking, how cool is that to be able to have that kind of ability to change the game?
Yeah, I love that. The ability to change the game. And I would say how you describe Bella's ability to see the human first is also a superpower. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, and I think about your description of that. That's that really is a beautiful superpower.
Yeah, isn't it? And it's just, I just think I think we overthink things so often, and the casualty of that is we do shoot right past this most amazing, beautiful person, thing, sunset, whatever is right in front of us because we're lost in thoughts about whatever is not present.
Mhm.
And so it is a superpower, right? To be able to see, and Bella's lens of what is beautiful and what is really extraordinary is a very different one. She'll see folks that maybe others wouldn't see the beauty, and she'll say, she's beautiful. And I'm looking at somebody who to me looks just very tired and very run down and looking like they've been working all day and are ready to go home and call it a day. And like, you're right, she is beautiful, or he, and I was seeing all of these sort of superficial things, and she saw right through to this beauty. And it happens all the time, and it always blows me away. I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah, we all need some Bella glasses in our lives for sure.
Yeah, we need to work on that together.
Yeah, that's right. That can be our next business. We can be co-founders of the Bella glasses that help people see themselves as a better place and see people for who they really are.
Yeah.
All right. As an adult, I think you've touched on some of this, but as an adult, what do you think makes a hero?
So I think heroes are people who want to help other people, right? And you see that a lot, and I think that is heroic, to put other folks ahead of yourself. They want to help other people in a simple way as, no, you can cut in line in front of me because you look like you're in a big hurry and I'm not. And or heroes are folks who say, I am busy, but I'm gonna take some time out to try to have a real good conversation with you because my sense is that's what you need right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's heroic, right? To say whatever it is that is pushing me forward today, it's not more important than what I'm experiencing right now with you, and what I'm feeling with you is that you would benefit from an ear, so.
Absolutely. All right. So as we think about heroes face challenges, and they best those moments, you look back on your life or even on your day to day, can you share a heroic challenge that you've experienced and tell us a little bit about how it made you stronger?
Yeah, and you were kind enough to share the questions with me, so I've thought some about this too. One of the biggest challenges I faced in my life was when I lost my father when I was very young. I was in junior high, and he died very young of lung cancer. And I think about how we went forward as a family, and what allowed us to put one foot in front of the other, and to support each other through that, and to get ourselves through that. And I think, it's funny, I sometimes tell this story that on the day we knew my father was going to die, because you have cancer, it was coming. And so when it arrived, it wasn't like a huge shock. It was very sad, but it wasn't a huge shock. But I went swimming that day because I had a swim lesson later that day. He died in the morning, and I think my swim lesson was in the afternoon, and I went swimming. And I remember I was at the swim class, and one of my little buddies said, how's your dad doing? Because he knew that my dad was very sick. And he said, actually, he died this morning. And he said, well, why are you here at swim class then? And I remember thinking, well, because that's where my dad would want me to be, to go on with my life, and to take care of myself, and to have fun, and to move forward. And it's just such a strong memory of mine, because it's that same thing as what we talked about earlier. It's like, how do you get through difficult times? And how you get through them is to put one foot in front of the other, and to will yourself forward, and allow yourself to do what you need to do for yourself. And what I needed that afternoon was to go for a swim. So
that's such a keep on keeping on story. I mean, it matches your theme song perfectly. And it's true, no amount of you missing that lesson or staying at home could have changed anything. There's that ability to understand that forward momentum, which seems like a theme in everything that you're saying, is absolutely a place that I think oftentimes people get stuck. They get stuck wishing or thinking about the past, or wanting to go back, or wishing they could change something, instead of starting right where they are, being there, and then, moving forward.
Right. And also thinking about it from the perspective of, are you helping somebody get through a difficult situation? Are you applauding them for moving forward, for good on you to keep on with your life, and to be here, and let me give you a hug, and I think a lot of times we have expectations for people who are going through whatever they're going through. In this situation, shouldn't you be doing this or that? And what people should mostly be doing is what they need to do for themselves. But yeah, it's always been, I've gained strength from that memory, because in other difficult times I've thought, how did I do this before? How did I navigate this before? Oh, I went about my business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that reminder of what's worked, informed by your own experience, and applying that to other situations to be able to move you forward. All right, so we each, as humans, I think, have this deep desire to be mentally well. If you have a brain, mental health is for you, right? Nobody escapes this human experience.
Right.
And when we or someone close to us struggles, it's something that calls upon us to be present or be available in a different way. And it can be, consuming for a short period of time or consuming for a longer period of time, but none of us get to escape the effect of, when our mental wellness dips, or somebody around us has a dip in their mental wellness, it affects us. If you're comfortable sharing, would you be willing to talk about how mental health or mental wellness has affected your life?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And a few things that one is, from a professional standpoint, we've worked in this area of mental health, and we actually just wrapped up a 3-year campaign working with one of the health departments here on efforts to try to reduce the stigma around mental health. And one of our campaign themes that we developed was that we all have mental health. Mm-hmm. And everybody has that, and we all have our own physical health, we all have our own mental health. And I think that just to establish that as a baseline, mm-hmm. Is important, that mental health is very much like physical health in the sense that both need to be maintained. Yes. And we all have challenges on both fronts during our lives. And so it's not unusual or embarrassing or any of the above to have a mental health challenge any more than it's unusual or embarrassing to break your leg in a skiing accident, or to jam your finger in a door or whatever you happen to do, and all. So we need to address these things. I've struggled at times with, just like everyone, with my mental health. I've definitely had periods of high anxiety where I've sought both medical solutions to it as well as counseling. I found both to be very helpful, and I think that what I've learned through my personal experiences, one that comes to mind is when I lost a job unexpectedly. It was that there are responses and there are solutions to these challenges in the same way that CAST is a response to a broken leg. Mm-hmm. And that though it's a little harder to wrap your head around the solution to a mental health challenge than it is, say, to put a cast on a broken leg, there really are opportunities to improve these things. And sometimes mental health challenges are chronic and they're going to come back, and then we have to deal with them again. And that's also true of physical health challenges. Maybe you have a bad back, you kind of do your PT, your massage, your chiropractor, what have you, and your back is better, but probably down the road you're going to have to repeat. And it's the same with the mental health too. It requires maintenance.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I really love the analogy of the broken leg. We expect people need to take care of their physical bodies, and we know things happen, and things break and need to be attended to and fixed or get strained or whatever. And that same thing happens with our well-being, with our mental well-being and our mental health. So drawing those parallels, I think, is really powerful. And thank you for sharing your experience.
Oh, sure.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the Matrix Guard, which I know you know because you were, again, one of my first calls, when I want to, when I find myself standing out on the ledge again saying, oh, what about this? Yeah. You're one of my go-to people. So you know about this, but just to reiterate in a very concise version. Okay, so it's still not so concise, but we're getting more concise with a lot of help from our friends. What we're doing, I'll talk a little bit about that and then ask you a few questions related specifically to what we're doing with the Matrix Guard. So our mission is to create an epic fellowship of unstoppable heroes to triumph over the diseases of disconnection, which we name as suicide, bullying, and hatred, primarily online. And in the essence of all of this, we are engaged in making mental wellness more accessible, with a special focus on youth and young adults, since they tend to live online and they're the ones that we're struggling with trying to figure out how to reach. Our old system, our conventional system, I worked in community mental health for a long time. Our old system was you need to know you need help, be willing to get help, be willing to navigate the system to figure out how to get help, be willing to often be on a waiting list to get help, and then take whoever we can assign you to, or, it's often hard to find your person in a way that, these relationships are like chemistry as well. There's a magic to being able to be with somebody who can help you. So we want to make mental wellness more accessible. And we're really committed to redefining the idea of both getting and giving help as an acceptable strength for all humans. A recognition that at any moment in time, you might be the one who needs help or the one who's giving help. And we all play both of those roles. Every time, you know, we have a friend who's having a rough day, we're in the helper position. When we're the one who has a rough day, we're calling them. So creating this circle of that contains all of this as a human experience and supporting people in that wholeness of that experience. So the way we're doing this is by meeting people where they choose to be. So we're using technology to identify people on social media platforms. We're starting first with Twitch, which is an online platform that 15 million people a day use. It was initially and is still primarily focused on gaming, but every day it expands to new things. You can learn how to, you know, do stained glass. You can learn how to cook, you know, dinner tonight. You can, they have Twitch sings. You can sing or perform. There's, you know, people who play drums and violins. It's just, it's amazing the communities around that. And so there's one person in the community who's actually broadcasting, and everyone else in the community is interacting in real time and able to connect with each other and also with the broadcaster in a way that helps them maintain connections and create community. So we're starting on that platform, which is still 15 million users a day, is a pretty big platform, to identify those who are in need, where connection might be a benefit, and we're developing relationships with them and leaving them their agency to choose whether they want to connect with us or not, and if so, how, and then we'll offer support. So any questions about our still way too long explanation of what we're doing that I can answer before I get your take on what we're doing?
Yeah. No, I don't think so, because I have been working with you on it. I think I'm pretty up to speed on what is being built. So I don't have questions, but I have lots of thoughts, of course.
All right, well, that's perfect, because that's what we're moving to. So we really want to seek the brilliance of as many people as we can. And we've been working with you in a number of different ways to help figure out how we get the word out, you know, what our ability is to reach and what our priorities are for reaching out to the world, whom we're reaching out to, and in what ways. And it's been incredibly, incredibly helpful. I told you this morning that even having known you for I don't even know, it's like a lot of years. It's like 20 something years. I forgot what it feels like to work directly in the beam of your brilliance, like your genius in how you help us do this and how you can be far enough away, but yet close enough to be able to offer us this sort of this telescoping perspective. It's just really a wonderful experience. And I feel so grateful that we get to do that. So.
You're very kind, and it's my honor, really. I think what you're actually working on here is amazing, and so if I can be even a small part of it, I'm just really delighted. I think what fascinates me and what the Matrix Guard is doing is this notion of, as you said, taking the care where it's needed, when it's needed. I think that what's so interesting, and you outlined it in mental health, where we expect people whose brains are struggling in one way or another to use those same brains to go access care, is so often so wrong-headed, right? It's like you broke your leg, okay, sprint down to the doctor and get it taken care of. Well, I can't, my leg is broken.
Right.
You know, no, really, that's our system. Sprint down there. And it's like, well, that ain't going to work for me. And I think that so often right now, that's what we expect people to do. We expect them to be able to understand, even though they're impaired by some kind of mental health challenge, how to access all this care, how to do all this. And I love that you guys are setting up a system that's going to identify, it looks like, you know, you might be struggling. Can we help you? Do you want some kind of support? I love, because you're getting rid of that stupid sprint down to the doctor with your broken leg piece. And then that's what I love. And even our company has worked with a mental health company that's online, and they deliver online therapy, and I won't go into how they do that and such. But even in that circumstance, they were still expecting, and they are still expecting, the people to figure out they need the care, and to then go and sign up and access it.
Mhm.
And what I love about what you guys are doing is you're jumping ahead to say, hey, maybe there's something going on here. Maybe you would benefit from someone to talk to, etc. And that's the thing that I love about this. And not saying, I appreciate gamers are only part of the Twitch world, but not saying to the gamers, you're gaming too much, you need to get offline and all that kind of stuff. Instead saying, this is where you're comfortable.
Mhm.
Let's meet you here.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you. I think that is we go to you where you choose to be. And when you look at the solutions that exist right now for the increasing rates of suicide and the cyberbullying and the school shootings, there's just the trajectories are just going in the wrong direction. And our solutions are often about things that we do way down the road when the person is already in exquisite pain, when they think that buying a gun is a reasonable solution to feel like they're seen and they matter and that somebody is going to know their name. At that point, we have really missed the opportunity to connect with them and to be able to help them in a way that they won't get to that point. So the way that we can figure out how best to do that is to find them in those early stages of when they appear to be struggling, and really be able to customize the support anywhere along the continuum. So they don't have to be actively in crisis before we can help them. They can just be having a really rough day, and then perhaps recognizing that this is a pattern of rough days and they seem to be increasing. And how can we connect and help and support them before they get to that point where that pain is just so exquisite they feel desperate, harm themselves or someone else. So, thank you. I love the sprint with the broken leg. That's like brilliant. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, well,
really, really good.
I give it to you.
Yes, thank you. I accept it gratefully. All right. So I have two other questions. One is any other suggestions you have as we grow the Matrix Guard? And then the second is if you would just end with summarizing in 1 to 3 words, your thoughts on the Matrix Guard.
I think that my suggestion on the Matrix Guard is that we together with your other great colleagues on this need to continue to work to figure out how to articulate what it is that we're offering, because it is unique. And that's something that you bring to things, Deb, is you bring these unique solutions that you figure out, hey, this is something the world needs, but they're unique and they didn't exist before. And so explaining what those solutions are and how it all works is usually challenging. And this one is too. I think it's challenging in a number of ways to really explain why this is important and how it fits into the greater environment of mental health support that's also out there. So I see continued work for us on that front. And it's good work because as we explain it, we will better understand it ourselves.
Absolutely. And we benefit from people like you giving us different frames that we can help people understand what we're doing. We had a strategy meeting this morning, and in our strategy meeting, we talked about the intentionality with which our recognition of how big this is.
Right.
And, we're biting off this huge, huge, expansive, giant thing. And while that's not really the perfect scenario for a business where you really kind of want to start small and iterate, we're doing that too. But we're iterating and starting small in a number of different areas. We also recognize the fact that the problem is so big and getting bigger every day. So the solution needs to be connected in proportion to actually the challenge that we're trying to address and solve. So it's an interesting journey to figure out how we do this at the right level so that we can do it really, really well. And I will say a big way that we're doing that is by identifying what we call infinite game partners.
Right.
So this is stolen from Simon Sinek's new book, The Infinite Game, which is all about how the new world of business is all about our ability to multiply and strengthen each other, and how we take what we're doing and combine forces with other people who have a noble mission in a similar way that we want to work, whose work aligns. And instead of us doing what they're doing too, we would be able to connect forces with them and figure out how we can pull all these people together in a way that actually makes us all better. And that's a huge part of our solution, is that we find really good infinite game partners. Among them, you, Erich Kirshner. So thank you so much for joining us. And the conclusion really would be, if you can give us your 1 to 3 words that you would use to summarize the Matrix Guard.
Okay, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one. That's why we're asking you to do it.
We just together worked on a news release that we had to whittle down from much bigger than it originally was to smaller, so we know how hard that is. You've used the word, but I think it's noble. I do. I think that it is a noble adventure that we are all on with the Matrix Guard. It's noble because our mission is noble. We're trying to bring support to where it's needed. Even I would say needed most. So I'd say that would be one word. I would say it's creative, in that I think it's a very creative solution to, like you say, a huge challenge we have. Yeah. And my third word might be optimistic. It's optimistic in the sense of it gives us optimism that there are these noble creative solutions that are out there, and we just need good, smart folks who want to do good to band together, like you talked about, and figure out how collectively we can do this thing. And I think about it like sort of stringing a bunch of servers together. You know, one server can't handle all of, you know, Amazon's orders, but if they string enough of them together, they can do it. And it's the same, I think, here. One person or one team member or even one team can't figure out how to do this, but a bunch of teams knitted together can, and that's where we're going. You know, and I think it's wonderful, and I want to congratulate you on this Shark Tank invitation that you guys got, and I'm really excited for Austin and to learn about that experience. I think that's super cool, and that I think will lead to the identification of additional team members that can help us, you know, figure out this thing.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you. Much like how, I mean, not to compare us to Amazon, but you know,
why not?
Amazon does own Twitch, so perhaps it's
there you go.
You know, they would like to give us a little seed funding to really grow this idea out. But this idea that there's so many people doing so much good work. I mean, the nobility of the mental health community just in general. These are people who are working very, very hard to do good work, to make a meaningful difference, who are lit up by this. And figuring out how to connect them and have a portal that goes through to the people who are online and who could benefit from support doesn't mean that we want to redo everything everyone else is doing, but connecting them so that people go to one place and they don't really care whether the vendor, it's, you know, when they're ordering on Amazon, I don't care where they are, but you can get it to me this afternoon. That's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So real-time support and help, and being able to really connect with people on their terms.
Yeah.
So thank you. I love the noble, creative, and optimistic are 3 great words. Great compliment. Really lovely spending this time with you, Erich.
It's been a real joy, as I knew it would be. So thank you for allowing me to do this interview with you.
All right. Thank you so much.